This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, welcome everyone. Agun Erev Shabbos as we prepare for the Yom Tov of Sukkos and the Haftorah of the first day of Sukkos, the Haftorah of Zechariah. We will discuss in upcoming Shiurim how one of the themes of Sukkos is Milchemes Goig Umagog. And that is the subject of the Haftorah the first day. But one of the well-known psukim of the Navi is V'hayaha Adonai lemelech hakol haaretz b'yom hahu Yeh Adonai echad u'shmo echad. And we've said many times in the past from the Arizal is megala to us that now in the Galus God's name is Yud Kei Vav Kei. However, b'yom hahu, on that day, Yeh means God's name will become Yud Kei, Yud Kei. Right now, there's some kind of disjoint. There's Yud Kei, but Vav Kei, la'asalavai b'yemahu, Yihya Hashem echad u'shmai echad. In fact, the Shla HaKadosh in Parshas Vayera, he brings a great remez to the Shleimus ha'asad of God's name in the future. Because the Pasuk says by Avram Avinu, V'hu oimed aleihem tachas ha'etz. And the Shla brings, the Pasuk says in Koheles, B'mkayim sheyipal ha'etz sham yehu. In the place that the tree falls, there it will be. Aval b'kan, v'hu oimed. So what does this mean? He quotes, that God's name will be Shalem, that the Vav K is what's not whole. The Yud K is whole. The Vav K is not whole. And then Ki Yad Al Kes Ka, the Vav K is missing. So basically, God's name is lacking in two ways. Number one, first of all, the Yud K was turned into Vav K, and then the Vav K was hijacked completely. Now, not only will the Yud K be joined with the Vav K, but it will turn into Yud K, Yud K. Yud K is more Rachamim than the Vav K. Vav K will become like Yud K, as if it was written Yud K, Yud K. This is what it means. Now, the remez to this is like this. Yehi Ar Vayehi Ar. Meaning like this. The oisios of Yud K, Vav K are Yud, Hey, Vav. We don't have to do the Hey again, we already did it. The oisios of the Yud K, Vav K are Yud, Hey, Vav. Ki ahei kfula, v'imahei hu Yud K, Vav K. Now, had Adam Arisha not sinned, it would have been Yehi. It should have been Yehiyar. Yehiyar is Yud, Hey, Yud, and then followed by Hey. But instead of Yehi, it became Vayehi. Vayehi is Yud, Hey, and then Vav. But we were not zoicha to that. But when the Beis Hamikdash will be built, then it will be Makom Sheyipol Eitz Sham Yehu. Yehu is the Oisios Hashem. Okay. And this is why by Avram Avinu, Hashem told to Avram Avinu, the Avraham Haya Yiyah. Avram Avinu is going to be the one who's going to take the Yud Hey Vav and he's going to make it Yud Hey Yud Hey. Okay. Be it as it may, with this great revelation that La'asalave, God's name, will be Yud K, we've said in the past an amazing gematria, and I'm going to review it, and I'm going to add something that I don't think I ever said in this shiur before, and that is that the Gemara says in Moed Katan, and this comes from the Sefer Smichas Chachamim. The Sefer Smichas Chachamim is written by one of the great Mekubalim, Rav Naftali Katz, who was a Rav, I believe, in Prague, and he wrote a sefer on Mishnayos, stringing together all the Masechtas and Shas, Alpi Kabbalah, and he writes a Mamish, a Davar Nifla. I heard this from Rabbi Avram Shor. He says that there's a custom that's mentioned in Moed Katan that for a mess, the way they would express grief is they would hit their hands kaf el kaf, like in number 4. V'ata ben adam hinove v'hach kaf el kaf. Hit hand on hand. They would clap their hands. What exactly is the meaning of this custom that they would hit hand on hand? What is the meaning of all this? So he says like this. He says, what's the he's talking about arrangement and the order of the davening, he says as follows. He says, "V'nirali lismoich inyan zeh al hadi isa b'kra v'haya b'yamahu yika Hashem kaf al kaf." The Python in the Yotzos for the Shabbos after Shavuos says, "Kaf kapav yispoik kel b'samach ha'im me'umais." Means like this: Hashem in the future will benefit Klal Yisrael, and Hashem will be makeh kaf al kaf. What does this mean? Why does Hashem have to clap His hands? Doesn't make any sense. We know we're not allowed to attribute to God any physical phenomenon, any physical features. He is ein loy demus haguf ein loy guf. You can't even imagine, think in your heart that any tmuna. Okay, he says like this: "V'nirali lataretz." He says, I want to explain based on what the Mekubalim write, and this is from the Arizal, that La'asalavai Hashem's name is going to be Yihiyah, like the pasuk says, "V'yabayimahu Yihiyah Hashem Echad," that the Shem Havai will be written Yud Kei Yud Kei. Also, another interesting thing, the Mekubalim write that all tragedy in the world comes from the fact that God made the moon small. All tragedy, all difficulties, all hardship, all tzara comes from the miyud hayoreach. When God created the two luminaries, it says Hashem created the ma'ores hagedolim, two big luminaries, and then He had to make the moon small. Es hamar hagadolim shalos vayam, es hamar hakatam shalos halayla. So all tragedy is a result of the moon. Now, the sun is the Yud Kei. The moon is the Vav Kei. La'asalava, it's going to be Yud Kei, and the moon is going to be big again. Okay, so bear that in mind. The moon is alluded to in the letters Vav Kei. The Yud Kei is the sun. La'asalava, it's going to be Bila Amavas Lanetzach, and there's not going to be any more tsar, and the Yereach will be made great again, and the moon's light will be like the sunlight. Okay, so it's not going to be Yud Kei Vav Kei, it's going to be Yud Kei Yud Kei. Another Kabbalistic tradition, we've said this many times. There is a system of gematria called Hakah, smacking.
What?
Smacking. Like what some parents do, smacking. It goes like this, it's called multiplication. So let's say we take the Yud Kei Vav Kei, you ready? We take how many letters in Yud Kei Vav Kei? 4. Yud times Hey is 50. Hey times Yud, 50, 100. Vav times Hey, 30. Hey times Vav, 30, 160. Through the system of Hakah multiplication, the Yud Kei Vav Kei is what? 160. This is the side of the pasuk Vayireu Hashem eitz. God showed Moshe eitz, wood. Wood is gematria 160. That's the name of God. How is 160 the name of God? Yud times Hey, Hey times Yud. Vav times Hey, Hey times Yud. Fine. But that's God's name through Hakah now. What's God's name going to be? Hakah la'asad lavai. Yud times Hey, Hey times Yud is 100. Yud times Hey, Hey times Yud is another 100. How much total? 200. La'asad lavai, God's name is going to be 200. Yeah? La'asad lavai kaf, 100. Al kaf, 200. That's the deeper meaning of Avelos. The expression of Avelos, of smacking kaf al kaf, is it's a tefillah. May we merit the day where God's name will be Yud Kei Yud Kei. When it will be Bila Maves Lanetzach. When there will be no more tsar because there won't be any more Vav Kei. It will be Yud Kei, and the moon will be big again. That's the deeper symbolism of the expression of Avelos of kaf al kaf. Okay.
Rabbi, if the Kadosh Baruch Hu's name is going to be Yud Kei, Le'osad Lavo.
Yeah. Are we going to be able to say it?
Why are we able to say it now, even as Yiyah?
Because right now, it's not his name yet, I guess. Okay. Lefizeh, he says, Le'osad Lavish, Lo Ya'oid Shum Misa V'tzar, because the moon will be big. It will be equal to the sun. V'yizgadal Shemai, it will be Yiyah, then Hakah will be 200. V'zeu kavanas hakra, v'haya b'yemahu, la'asad lavai, Hashem is going to be mitzameach Klal Yisrael. He's going to destroy all the umais. He's going to make the moon big. And this is the reason for the Sar of Rosh Chodesh. The Sar of Rosh Chodesh, the umais ha'olam are yoinik from then the moon will be like the sun. Hashem will hit kaf al kaf. What does it mean, he'll hit kaf al kaf? It means it will be and now we understand the minhag of clapping hands for a mace, that we know that for a mace we have to offer consolation so that the mourners are not despondent and are not lost in hopelessness. Therefore, in order to encourage the mourners, we tell them, we smack kaf al kaf and we say la'aseh lavai, God's name will be Yihiyah, and then it will be Bila Mavas Lanetzach, and you won't have any more tsar. Okay, so this is some of the secrets of the pasuk Vayemahu Yihiyah, but I want to add one amazing thing relevant to the Yom Tov of Sukkos. And that is, we have a Masechta called Hamoed Katan. And first of all, why do we call it Hamoed Katan? It should be called Chol Hamoed. You know anybody? What are you doing on Hamoed Katan? Where are you going to be waiting online for 7 hours doing nothing the whole day on Hamoed Katan? Where are you going to waste your whole day and come home groggy on Hamoed Katan this year? You ever hear people talk about that? Where are you going to spend all your money and waste it and throw in the garbage this Hamoed Katan? Right? I remember one year I was smart for so many years, and then they told me, let's go to Great Adventures. I'm a sugar. I don't know what happened. Ein adam haylech sham elam came nichmas ruach shtus. I waited online for 2 hours to get onto a ride, and I said, that's it. I'm going home. It was the best decision I ever made. Because to get onto the ride. Well, anyway, so why do we call it Hamoed Katan? We should call it Chol Hamoed, Masechta Chol Hamoed. That's the kasha of the Masei Rekeach, Rabbi Lezer of Amsterdam. I also heard this from Rabbi Ramshor. He asked this question. He has a perush on Masei Rekeach, Derech Kabbalah. He says in number 7 on the 5th line, L'kach kalenu mikamakam tamaboya kriyas Hashem Hamoed Katan. It should be called Chol Hamoed. By the way, in Masechta Hamoed Katan, what are the two subjects of Masechta Hamoed Katan? Chol Hamoed and Avelos. Wow, whoever how'd they come up with that? I thought Chol Hamoed is a happy time. Why do we fuse together Hilchos Avelos and Hilchos Hamoed Katan? And Hilchos Avelos, Hilchos Chol Hamoed. He says as follows. He quotes the Zohar, and the Beis Yosef brings this down, that Yom Tif is a tefillin shel rosh and Chol Hamoed is a tefillin shel yad. Why? Just like Yom Tif is like the sun and Chol Hamoed is like the moon. Now it's interesting. We know God had to make the moon small. If that's the case, then Chol Hamoed being only a quasi Yom Tif is a result of our reduced status in the Galus. But la'aseh lavai, just like when God makes the moon big, then it's going to be 7 days of Yom Tif. It's not going to be Chol Hamoed. The reason we call it Hamoed Katan is because just like the moon is called Ma'ar HaKatan, the Chol Hamoed is called Hamoed Katan. But la'aseh lavai, it's not going to be Hamoed Katan, it's going to be Hamoed Gadol. But why is it a Hamoed Katan? The same reason we have Avelos, because the moon is small. So we group together Hilchos Avelos together with Hilchos Chol Hamoed. But la'aseh lavai, we're not going to have Avelos, we're not going to have Chol Hamoed, it's not going to be Ma'ar Katan, it's going to be Hamoed Gadol. When will that be? When the Rebbeinu Shem is Hika, Kaf al Kaf. When will that be? Vayemahu Yihiyah Hashem Echad Shema Echad. Okay.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.